have to do an episode tonight. This is getting kind of crazy right now. We're going to talk about wrestling again. The world is talking about it. The universe is talking about it. If you know what I'm talking about, anybody know what I'm talking about. Oh, I'll get to it in a bit. Just enjoy this. This is the Not So Creative podcast. This is E. And I am the one-man gang, the one-man show, the guy who says it all. You keep it going. And you keep on talking a lot of shit. I mean, I had to say that, right? I mean, it is. I'm known to do that, actually. But I'm going to hold it back tonight. So they get straight to the point. All right, so WWE Smackdown happened tonight in the great state of Alabama, in Birmingham. They had a show. And we're getting, the week after the Rumble, Raw, now Smackdown. And, I'll say this before I even start getting into it. When they have the Raw and Smackdown, we're talking about, two same company, two different brands within the company. And they remain competitive because, as you could see, between Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, there's a competition going on in the back about who they have and who they're signing and, all these new things. As we have seen lately, the signings of wrestlers and, as far as the ladies and the gentlemen too. It's getting very competitive and it's making for, fresh new faces. It was funny because I actually just talked about that with a friend of mine. One of the guests from the prior shows, Rob, and I said, hey, you know what? It'd be nice to bring up some fresh faces and kind of go along with the history of where they came from, who they are, the reason why, they're being signed. Of course, they're being signed because they see something in them, and that's great. Gives a lot of value to NXT because NXT, to them, is still the developmental organization where, once you're out of there and you go to the main roster, then that's big because, in NXT, they go on the road here and there, but they're not on the road like, the Raw and SmackDown rosters. Most of their weekly shows are in Orlando. So we'll get straight to SmackDown, and don't know if I'm going in any particular order. I'm going to skip most of the stuff. I'm going to get straight to, the bigger little instances that caught my attention, and I'm sure for others out there. And we're gonna address the big one later on, and we'll go from there. I'll start off with the Bayley addressing for the who is that she's gonna go after at Wrestlemania. And she talked about a lot of good things. A lot of points that she made were very well made. She has done it all. She's won the Raw belt, the women's belt, the SmackDown belt. She's done it all. So there's nothing new to her. This is more just to me, the speech, what she said was basically making her legacy even better. And then, at a certain point, she got to it and you see Damage Control, Asuka, Kyrie, and of course, Io. They were, when she was speaking, they were kind of like mocking her, laughing behind her back and so on and so forth. And they were saying things and then she turned around and they were like, just be calm. Almost that, like that bully the kid feel type of a situation going on where, your friends are not really your friends. But when you turn around, they're smiling at you. But when you turn around again, they're kind of like laughing at you. Like one of those fake friendship situations. And The good thing is that, Bailey addressed, she says, hey, and she said something to them in Japanese and they were caught off guard. And she says, oh, you don't think I don't know? Wait, you've thought the whole time that I haven't known what's going on here? As far as, what you guys say behind my back, whether it's here in the locker room and all those things. And then, of course, addressing that, then Asuka and Kairi attacked her. And she went to one of the corner posts and was able to get a pipe and, attack them. And, of course, Io ran out. By the way, it's unfortunate that Io doesn't get mic time. And, of course, understandably, even without the mic, between Asuka, Kairi, Io, you could just feel, you just know the presence that they have and how she has become a heel. Well, she's always been a heel, but she was a likable heel. Now it's like, well, it really depends because Asuka has a lot of fans, but going back to Io, now it's like, we don't like her. Now everybody's jumping on the Bailey bandwagon because they see what was going on. They were laughing behind her back and, it was all these things that were going on. So then, Bailey made it clear, that Io is going to be the one that she'll be facing at WrestleMania. So that was her pick. And then, that's it. Moving on. Glad it happened. Glad it happened now. Glad they already basically, you have to put the card together. You need to start putting the card together already. Even though you have Elimination Chamber coming up, you want to have the main announcements of the main matches. I'm glad that they announced this one and that Bailey made her pick. Now, moving on to other little things. I'm happy about Tiffany Stratton signing with SmackDown. It's a good pick. Also, Naomi signed with SmackDown. And the first thing that Tiffany did was smack, I can't remember her name. The girl that comes out with the OC, Machin. Smacks her and then runs off and then gets a match. And she gets her win. It's good when you see, talent, wrestlers from developmental that you've been seeing and cheering on TV and you wonder, when are they going to go up? Well, that person has it. When you hear that the main roster says, hey, who do you think is going to be the next big one? And they mention your name. That must be like the great thing, I think her experience with Tiffany Stratton with Becky Lynch, if anybody hasn't seen that match, can't remember what pay-per-view it was. It was a premium live event through NXT. Amazing match. Must watch. Probably was, to me, one of the top matches of last year. And it was in the NXT. And that's not a jab. That's just saying a lot. That there's so much talent out there right now. And it was interesting because I just had a conversation with sometimes my guest, Rob. And I mentioned to him about, adding another women's belt and then, having the tag team belts and so on and so forth. And you could sign to SmackDown, you can sign to Raw and still do the NXT. Because I've seen it now with the LWO. They've been going back and forth. They were part of the tag team tournament, the Dusty Cup, NXT, and they're up here. Even though Braun signed to SmackDown, he's still going to be doing this. He's in part of the finals with the Dusty Cup with Baron Corbin, and they're going up against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. I have a feeling, I don't know, I have a feeling that Brock is going to go to Raw. Not Brock. Well, we can't talk about Brock anymore because he's not going to be around for, who knows, maybe never again. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But sorry, didn't mean to say Brock. Braun Breaker. Rick Steiner's son, Scott Steiner's nephew. The one that Scott Steiner says that he took his uniform and his moves. Funny, because it is actually, to a certain degree, true. He is an amazing athlete. And that was my top guy. I was like, when is this guy going to move up? So seeing him there today, Nick Aldis presented him with a SmackDown contract. And then, of course, lo and behold, Adam Pearce magically appears. The same way that Nick Aldis magically appears in the Raw show. Remember that Andrade signed with Raw. So he got the call from Braun Breaker. And he says, oh, and that was the Raw show. Got a call from Braun Breaker. Got to take this. And I like that. It's connecting the dots. He shows up at SmackDown. Call was made. He's offering the contract. Of course, Adam Pearce is going to be competitive. He's like, oh, no, wait, don't sign that yet. You got to look at what I'm going to offer you first before you make a decision. And Braun says, you know what? I'll see you at Raw next week. Good. I think it's a good move. Where do I prefer to see him at? That's a tough one because I'm actually, the silence says it always. I don't know where I would want to see him. I actually do like SmackDown a little bit more than Raw. I feel that SmackDown just has a lot going on, but Raw too. I just feel that, Raw would benefit more of having Braun Breaker there versus SmackDown right now. Think of it. You have your top guys, and one of your top guys is injured. On top of that, one of your original intentions, and now I could say his name, and Brock is not part of it, which we all most likely know that he was going to be a part of WrestleMania. Now he's not. We all know the reason why behind that. So chances are that Braun Breaker signs with Raw. That's my prediction. That's what I think. I prefer to see him in SmackDown. Now, let's just say this, because I'm not here predicting where people are going to go. I always just like to give my opinions. Let's say he goes to SmackDown, right? He signs with them. Whatever, Now, does he get a shot eventually for the U.S. belt? Do you just put him straight to the fire? Because, the guy has it all. He has that factor to him. Do you make him a heel? Do you make him a face? That's the other thing. Right now, he's kind of like, almost like an anti-hero, loner type of guy. Even though the crowd loves him because we all know who he is and, where he comes from. And his intensity is off the charts. Right? Those are the things I'm thinking about. Then the other part, if you sign Braun, remember, we have Carmelo still. Carmelo showed face in SmackDown a couple of weeks ago for a couple of moments. In the tournament for the U.S. title. Fought Grayson Waller. For like the 100th time. And he defeated him. And I was thinking he was permanent. I don't even know if he is. But, permanent factor wrestler in this organization, right? If Braun goes to Raw, then you have to have Carmelo go to SmackDown. Just would make sense. And then, of course, Trick will probably stay down there for a while. But I'd be curious who's coming up. And with the way things are going and those guys are developing and, some other wrestlers are hurt here and there. It's a good time to be in the NXT right now because you don't know who's next and who's going to come up. So, I'm actually looking forward to find out where he signs. Because that's going to be fun. And whoever, if you don't really follow NXT, definitely watch it because those are the performers that we'll be cheering for or against probably in about a year or two, next 3, 4, 5 years. These guys are young, and a lot of them are athletes. It's not like before where you had to go to wrestling school and, just these guys, Braun was an athlete. He was offered like baseball. I believe he was offered baseball contracts or scholarships and football. He played for the Ravens for a little bit. And then he just took it, he just took wrestling, made the choice to go to wrestling, and he's doing well. So happy about that. So that was the other thing that caught my attention. And then now to the big one, the big story. A lot of feedback. I went online, I'll put on other YouTube episodes, watching TV, and very interesting. I'm going to give my input on this. And, at the same time, we're not here to upset anybody, piss anybody off, offend opinions. I'm just going to give my opinion. I'm going to try to look at it in different ways. I said it before. I don't know if I have that episode, if I uploaded it or not. And I said that I was not a big fan of Cody. And I know Cody's loved and so on and so forth. It's not a thing about him. There's nothing bad about the guy. When I say I'm not a big fan, it's, if there's a match going on, he has a great match. He's an amazing performer. He is basically probably the top guy for the company right now without a belt to identify or link with him, right? Well, 2 Royal Rumbles, right? 23 and 24, back to back. That's not done often. And I already mentioned that in a prior episode. Unified Tag Team Champions of Jey Uso, which was pretty cool. And unfortunately, it was, short. Should have been a little longer, in my opinion, but whatever. That's the story, right? So now, going back to, how I'm not a big fan or the reason behind it, there's no particular reason. There's just certain very, excellent mic skills. It can talk and makes good points. I'm actually more in tuned when he's doing his microphone spots, when he's on the mic and talking, because he's so good at it. And that's what I like about now. He doesn't have to be like the gimmicky part and say the same old stuff a lot of times and so on. He really psychologically gets behind what he's saying. And you know that what he's saying, he really does mean it. There's belief in what he's saying. And that is great. In the ring, I wasn't like in tune to him before. Through all his characters that he went through, and of course the Cody and so on and so forth. That's just the part that I'm referring to. Like, that's what I mean when I'm saying I'm not a big, big fan. Like, like I said, there's not a dislike. It's just, but at the same time, all wrestlers have usually performed the same moves and, so on and so forth. Maybe when he gets the belt, well, when he gets it, right? It's not a matter of, well, it really is when, because it's not about what or how. It's when he gets it. And the question is against who and how it's going to come together now, which is the part I'm going to go into now, because Cody comes out. Well, Roman says his, and again, Roman's another one too. I like Roman because I like the whole bloodline situation and I enjoyed it, even though many of us say it's past its point. The fun part. The best part, like I said, was when it was Sami Zayn, when there was that beef between Jay, Sammy, Jimmy liked Sammy. Roman was kind of like, kind of like leaning towards it. Then Solo got involved, and that was basically the top, at that moment, the best part. Right before, like, the War Games, a little bit after that, and then it kind of like went downhill after the Sammy thing. And then after the Cody thing, of course, the situation from last year's WrestleMania, which caught everybody off guard, was the part where it was like, okay, this is going too long now. But there's a reason why they're doing it. We have to think about it, what they want to do. There's an era with, you have great performers, whether it's an athlete in boxing, in football, basketball. There's always one person that we can say, oh, you know what? That guy was champion for this long. And that's what they're doing with Roman. There's nothing much to it. Especially through everything he's gone through. We tend to forget that, and for him to come back, perform, do all these things, that's a great thing. You have to appreciate that, so, and that's on the personal and on the business end of it. They were making him the guy, and then little obstacles got in the way. Who knows? What would have happened if he didn't leave? Would he have been champion for 5 years then? We don't know, right? We don't know. So here we are. Roman's champion again still, as we're discussing Cody coming out. And Roman makes his points which I did like. I did like that Roman is putting attention to what Seth is saying. The speech that Seth gave Cody. Now, Cody's not out yet at this moment. He hasn't stepped out to approach him and to mention who it is that he's going after at this moment. And I'll try to say things and mention them as best as I can in the way I remember it. I think he mentioned something about the belt. He called it the Hollywood belt and so on and so forth. And that he doesn't work as much and that Seth is, working, constantly carrying the company and so on and so forth. And Roman says, basically, in this way, he said, you know what? You were the champion for about 3 months and you broke your back. Which champion walks like this? And he's basically, saying that Seth hobbles to the ring. He's basically a broken guy. He can't even perform anymore. And then Roman's saying, hey, let's say translate. Who's the idiot here now? Who's the dumb one here? Am I the idiot or are you the idiot? As far as referring to Seth Rollins. Now there's a little competition, which I like about that because they're referring to those things. And he says, hey, yes, I do take time off, which I do like that he did acknowledge that. Yes, I wrestle whatever times a year I do. But at the same time, who's getting paid more money here? Who's making more? Basically, he's saying, hey, he didn't say it this way, but I read it in between the lines. Work smarter, not harder. I'm the smart one here. I'm not going in there week in, week out to prove a point of how I was the guy that takes time off. The belt is not in the line. And here you are, once you get the belt, you're defending it. Your body is basically broken down. You hardly can walk. You're hurt. Your back hurts. Your back is broken. All these other things. And here I am, clean as a whistle. I'm not hurt. You don't see me hobbling. There's a reason why. Because I don't do this every single week. And I thought that was a good point. Some good things were coming out of it. Still the champion, right? I don't have to defend it every single week. Which in a way it's, saying, hey, your belt is not better than mine. I'm the dominant one here. I'm the smart one. You really want to fight me? You need to earn it to, get a chance. You really need to earn it. With you, anybody can ask you for a fight. You'll give it to them. That's just my take on what he said. And then, of course, he said something along the lines, finishing your story. And then Of course, Cody comes down. I may have missed a couple little points, but I was just going more in my opinion of what my translation of this was. So Cody confronts Roman, and he says, how he was cheated last year. How he felt cheated. And even though Seth gave him that speech about it's the Hollywood belt, he said that's the belt that Bruno Sammartino won. That's the belt that he held. That's the belt that my father won, and then the belt was taken away from him. I don't care what Seth says. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to go after Seth. I'm coming after you, and I'm going after that belt. And then this is when basically the shock went into the system in the crowd, and I'm sure anybody who's watching. And he said, I'm going to go after that belt. It's just not at WrestleMania. Roman has the best reactions, expressions that I've seen out of anybody. He always has this priceless look, you look at him, he's like, what? I even think he turned around and looked at Paul, and he's like, what is this guy talking about now? This guy's really done, right? Huh? Of course, if you're Roman, it's like, okay, shoot. So then when does he want to, to fight? But again, Cody said a lot more, of course, basically saying, hey, how that belt means a lot. And, it's still something. No matter what anybody says, it's still a championship title. And he wants to fight the best and whatever. So when he mentioned about talking to special counsel and was giving some advice, and then he mentioned about, let me go back because I'm trying to get in order here. So once he said that he's not doing WrestleMania, and let's say it's just not going to be at WrestleMania, right? He said, I've been talking to someone, special counsel, and it's someone, he didn't say when, by the way, to kind of go back, he didn't say when. Now, later this month, we have Elimination Chamber, right? Is it going to happen over there? That they're going to put a title title up on the line? Roman versus Cody? Or is Cody's not going to go back to Seth and be like, hey, you know what? You were right. That is the Hollywood belt. I'm going to go after yours. No, he said that it's just not at WrestleMania. That's the belt that Roman has is the one that he's going after. He made it very clear. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to go after that belt. It's just not at WrestleMania. Of course, people are thinking, huh? Now, he didn't announce a time frame. And I'm sorry repeating this because it's very clear how he said it. There is no going back to Seth. That's going to be figured out. Elimination Chamber of whoever goes after him. And we already know the story. It's not going to be CM Punk. Now, once he said that, because I haven't hit the point, there's a lot of little things I'm going to say and opinions. I'm just trying to put this together. Once he said that, then you hear The Rock's music hit. Because before that hit, he says, I know the counsel that I'm speaking to is someone that knows you very well. And of course, again, camera goes to Roman. And expressions, he's like, who would know me so well that you're talking to? Who? That's just the expression. He's like, who knows me so well? What's this guy talking to? And The Rock music hits. And of course, at that point, he gets all serious, Roman. The crowd goes crazy, of course. It's The Rock, right? How many followers does he have on Instagram? An insane amount. Always posting good videos. There is nothing that anybody can say that they don't like about The Rock. The guy's so likable between the movies, what he's done, the whole story. It's just, you can't bash the guy. We can't. No matter, he could be 100 years old and we're still going to love the guy. Obviously, at that point, he won't be wrestling, but still, we still love the guy, right? And he can probably talk shit into who knows when, And the unfortunate part is that the fans there blew the hell up. When I say like blew the hell up, I mean in a way of like, the reaction was exactly what you wanted. I don't know if I guess it was the right time to do it. It's just unfortunate it wasn't at the Royal Rumble, because that would have gone along the lines with the other things. But I get it. I get what they're doing there. Because if you can't do the same thing to a Roman every single time. Every time he wins, you have another guy come out, another guy, another guy. Remember he wins and then John Cena comes out. Then he wins and Brock is back now. And then he wins again, someone else is out. He can't really enjoy his victories. So to a certain degree, I did like when they stopped doing that, because it was like, all right, come on, But that's just the way it happens. It happens in boxing many times, when a boxer fights in the UFC, the other guy comes in the ring. He's like, well, I'm going to challenge you for the belt now. And it's like, all right, good guy. I already know you're here, but that's all part of the hype, because it'll keep people talking. Hey, did you see Anderson Silva when he walked in the cage after he beat, this guy beat him and he wants to come back and so that's just the way it works. I wish it would have been the Rumble, because that would have been great. But at the same time, though, you have to think in the business part of it. Raw had its show. The champion is Seth there. He's their main guy there. He's hurt. Unfortunately, CM Punk is hurt. That meant that most likely was going to be the main event, that they were going to have that scratched now. So who knows how that's going to unfold. Ratings were off the roof for Raw. They were really good. And you had to follow it up with something big too, and they didn't have anything crazy, as far as when it comes to the Raw show, except that CM Punk mentioned what he's going to do and what happened and so on and so forth, and then talking, and then, Seth with Cody. There was a lot of good promotional stuff, mic work that was being done that night. That was intriguing. And you brought it to tonight, and you had Bayley, talk about the whole EO thing, and that was already out there. And then you have The Rock. Then you have The Rock show up. Not only does The Rock show up, but Cody basically introduced him. So The Rock finally comes down. Cody, he shakes his hand. The Rock says something, whispers something in Cody's ear, and then you see Cody smiling. And you could kind of almost like see as if Cody was about to get emotional. Who knows? Those are the moments I would like to know what is being said to him, that he is one smiling, and then it's almost like you almost want to see like a tear drop down, like a tear in his eye. Whatever we said. Cody walks out. The Rock is looking at Cody walk out. He hasn't turned around yet to face Roman yet. He's watching Cody almost like the cowboy riding off into the sunset. There goes Cody. Place is cheering. Of course, everybody's cheering. Cody's walking back. The Rock, is looking at him. Cody turned around, gives him the head nod, and goes back. Now The Rock turned around. Roman's serious. One on the opposite side of the corner. And they start walking slowly towards each other. They face off. Nothing is said. You don't have to say anything at that point. We already know what's going on. We already know where this is headed. As much, things that we don't want to see, this was supposed to happen probably about a year ago, maybe even 2. Remember, people know things. People know things about what was booked, what was the plan, so on and so forth. They asked The Rock that question a million times. They asked Roman the same question a million times. They were probably answering that question so often when they did press, whether they were going on, hyping up WrestleMania, SummerSlam. Watch Jimmy Fallon. If you watch Jimmy Fallon, if not, watch him on YouTube, or I think it's on NBC or Peacock streaming platform. See if you find an episode, just put in Roman Reigns, Jimmy Fallon. He was being asked that question. He would get asked that question wherever he goes. Same thing with The Rock. Don't forget, The Rock now is The Rock, by the way. He could refer to himself as The Rock. He got the trademark, and he owns the trademark now because he became a part of the board, which was last week and a half ago. The only thing that kind of caught me off guard with this whole situation, well, one, it has to happen. The Rock is not getting any younger. Last time he fought, what was he tore? I think he tore his, what was it? I don't know, his leg or something. And I was actually there for that match. That was the second WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 29. That was in MetLife Stadium when he lost against John Cena, and The Rock was a champion at that time. So that was that. So it has to happen. You can't wait any longer. The longer you wait, the chances of it happening are becoming less and less. And if you really, really want to get this story down, the head of the table, the real head of the table, the one that nobody acknowledges, come on, you got to put it together. You have to put it together. And I'm not, for anybody who likes wrestling will understand it. For people who are just fans of certain guys, they will not understand it. That's just, again, this is my opinion. I'm just saying it. And I'm saying that because from a business standpoint, think of it. Even I think it was, what was it? CNBC or Fox News, one of those channels. When he had that interview, he mentioned about making it the biggest draw, maybe the biggest gate. If he's going to be involved, he wants it to be done right. He wants to play the long game. He's all about that. I don't really call what we're in February now. Yeah, February, March. That's not really a long game, but it is what it is, though. He's dropped hints. He has shown up. He did show up a couple of events here and there, kind of like, getting his legs back, getting a feel for the ring. One of the things that The Rock was saying was, I'm not in that shape. I'm not in ring shape. There's one, I'm sorry. May have been Roman. One of them said that. There was an interview that they were doing. And they're saying, you know what? It's all about timing. He's doing a lot of movies right now. It's one thing to do movies and there's one thing to wrestle. I've done, Roman has done both of them because he did the movie with, what was it, Hobbs and Shaw, where he was, a character in the movie that was part of the, Hobbs family when they came to defend the island. So he knows. He's like, hey, there's one thing to do this work and there's another thing to do this type of work. You have to get yourself ready. Your body has to become accumulated to this. It just can't be just like that. You just can't just go in because chances are you're going to get hurt. It's very likely that The Rock has been doing some work, of course, getting his body ready. You're a little older. You can't, and the thing is, you don't want to do a hype match with him. You don't want to mess this one up. This is the only chance you have now. This is basically like your last shot. So you have to capitalize on it. I know I'm focusing too much on The Rock and Roman and the whole situation. It just makes sense to me. Nothing against Cody. Not because I'm not a fan of him or whatever it is. It has nothing to do with it. He deserves it. He's going to get it. Don't worry. The story's going to be written. It's just how the story's going to finish is another thing. That's the one thing. This needs to happen. It has to happen. The Rock against Roman has to happen. If we're going to have family go, go against each other and prove who really is, the one that provides, then this match has to happen. Doesn't have to be much history with it. He's, Roman's a top guy. That's it. And The Rock knows what's been going on, the family and so on and so forth, the family falling apart and whatever the case is. I can't wait to hear what they got to say. I just hope The Rock brings a little something different, though. I don't want to hear the same thing about, candy ass and so on and so forth and laying the smack at them. That's all great and good. I hope in between that, there is some stuff that I want to hear. Hey, remember you said you're the head of the table? Last time I checked, you're just a champion here. You got to go hard. You have to go hard at each other. I mean, it's family, it's cousins anyway. So it's like, okay, who gives a shit? Right? Remember when you were not doing so well? Who helped you out? Who was the one that helped you out there? Who extended his hand to help you out? Roman? Oh, wait, did you say thank you? Oh, no, you did, but then you treat everybody else like shit. You treat your brothers, you treat your cousins like shit. You don't even talk to me at all. And you say you provide for the family? Who are you providing for? You providing for yourself? For your kids, whatever? I still see, Jay somewhere else. He quit. He couldn't take it no more. And well, Jimmy has no choice. His brother's gone. Might as well. Jimmy apparently doesn't have the balls to do it on his own. He needs to go back crawling like a baby and go back to you. Like, something like, I don't know. I'm just thinking about what I would say. And I just think it's going to be good. It's just to stare off was good enough. The crowd in Birmingham, Alabama, shout out to you guys. I'm happy it happened in a small place. I can't even imagine what it would have been like if it happened in a large city, or that pay-per-view show. It was meant, it was timed, it was perfect because now over the weekend, we have things to talk about. Wrestling fans, The Rock is back. He went, and now everybody's talking about, goodness, what's it going to take for Cody? I haven't forgotten about that. Cody just walked back. So wait, what does it mean? Wait, he wins the Rumble? And now he's not going to, wait. So what was the whole point? Wait, he won the Rumble. So now he's not going to challenge Roman for the belt at WrestleMania. Wait, he said it's not going to be, he's going to go after the belt, but just not at WrestleMania. So then when? When? So when that Royal Rumble victory means something, but at the same time, it doesn't mean something because isn't the whole point of the Rumble is that you choose to fight the champion at WrestleMania? You won. You get the first choice. You get first dibs. The Elimination Chamber guys they get basically they have no choice because you're already making your choice. But now you're leaving it open? Wait, is he going to fight my Elimination Chamber? What's going on? So, of course, I get what the fans are thinking too. Again, I'm a fan. I mean, I wouldn't be talking about this if I wasn't a fan, right? I just rather see The Rock against Roman. I know it's not going to be exciting. It's almost like, same way when Stone Cold fought against KO. That was for Stone Cold. I don't even, how old was Stone Cold? That match was great. He put everything that he had into that match. And his body was ready because Stone Cold was taking bumps outside the ring. And the crowd loved it. It's not going to be any different for this one. It's not going to be. I'd rather see The Rock against Roman because that's the buildup that's been going on for years. They get, like I said, they keep on getting asked the same questions over and over again. When is it? Wait, aren't you guys going to fight? You're not going to fight The Rock? The rumors of The Rock. Goodness. After a while, it's almost like, yes, it's going to happen. It just has not happened yet. But, of course, that will be snapping at that point. I like it. I did like what I saw. I know there's a lot of things I'm not covering. This was just the big thing. I know it took me 45 minutes. It's just worth talking about. I can go on and on about this one. It's just the whole thing. And I'll go back with The Rock and again give some other opinions. Now I'm switching lightly to Cody. Cody, goodness, you're the most amazing person. You're the most amazing person. You're able to give The Rock the match at WrestleMania. You basically said, hey, you know what? It's not at WrestleMania. There's something much bigger actually happening. And this guy's been deserving of this match for a while. You know what? I did it already. Let's give him his last one. Now, of course, fans are saying, well, when is it going to be? Next year now? Does that mean that Roman holds the belt for another year? No. We don't know yet. We're just going to think about different scenarios and say, oh, goodness, Cody, we have to relax. WrestleMania is the biggest event of the year for them. It's a business. The Rock is a part of the board now. Don't get it wrong. The Rock is money. The Rock is easy money. I'm sure that right now, ticket prices, second, resale just skyrocketed. And of course, there's others that are pissed off. Like, well, wait a second. I actually bought this to watch Cody finish the story against Roman. I know. But that was the thing I was mentioning before in another episode, in a prior one. I like it when it's unpredictable. I really wasn't in favor of watching the same match over again, actually. I'd rather watch someone different. And that was something else I was kind of like saying, oh, you know what? They could have made the road for Cody a little bit more difficult. He didn't have to win the Rumble, but I get it, And at the same time, it was kind of a blessing that he won, because then if you would have had to see CM Punk win and then he's hurt, then that really blows at that point. So, hey, it worked out in that part of it. Now it's a matter of, we're all thinking, so wait, does he go back to Seth? No, because he said it clearly that he's going after Roman's belt. It's just not at WrestleMania. That's all he said. It was very clear. So we can think of those scenarios. Hey, if things unfold, things change on the fly all the time with this company. Just the major fights don't change. Once it's announced, and this one will be announced, and it's going to be big because they're going to announce it. I think they're having some press conference on Thursday in Vegas. I'm sure they're going to announce at that point it's The Rock against Roman. No question about it. Or in some way, The Rock is involved in some capacity. So, that's it. There's not much more. The question is now is which night are they going to fight on? That's the thing I'm looking forward towards the most. I want to find out what the card is going to be like, who's fighting on what, because I actually would want to go. I want to go see this. I definitely want to see the most likely will be the Rock's last match. So, just leaving it at that. And then going back, The Rock is going to do whatever he can to help this company make more money. And being a part of the board, the great thing is he's a performer. He understands it. He wants the stock price to go up. He is, part of the board. On top of that, he has his tequila brand. He can do so much with WrestleMania weekend already. He can do his Terramana tequila, offer it in the stadium, sell that. Whatever restaurants carry it exclusively that day. Also promote the XFL. Promote whatever else he's doing. And on top of that, make money on top of money, on top of the other stack of money, on top of the other one. Because I think he's the highest paid actor right now, if I'm right. The guy's money. He's in, as nice of a guy as he is, he's a grateful guy. I've met him a couple of times. Very nice guy. He's a businessman as well. And the reason he's a part of the board is because they see everything he touches. A lot of things that he touches turns to gold. Because of the person who he is. He's such a likable guy. Why not? Sometimes we don't care about the amount of money someone's making if they're nice. If they do good things. Not everything's going to always work perfect. There's always going to be a lot of losses that go along with it because you can't always win and then win all the time. There's going to be those moments you're going to have a down moment. You're going to be upset. You're going to be sad. You're going to be depressed about things and just wondering, hey, that move wasn't so great. I'm second guessing. So there was a lot of things that went on in his path that led him to be here. And he's very grateful of the fans because he knows without wrestling, he wouldn't be where he's at. So, for anybody who, whether you like The Rock, don't like him, like I said, for me, if someone's asking who's my favorites, he's up there. Wrestling wise, mic wise, what he has done post, after wrestling, within wrestling, in between, whatever we want to call it, between the movies. It's amazing. You don't see wrestlers, transition that well. But you know what? It's actually getting better. And I'm not trying to flip, change subjects real quick on the fly. But think of it. Back then, Hulk Hogan was an actor and he did some movies that just were back, 80s and 90s? What was one? One of them, I think, was Suburban Commando, if I'm right. I never saw it. Whatever. Oh, wait, Rocky 3. Remember that? What was he, like Thunder Lips or something like that? But then you have this. You have The Rock. I mean, how many movies has he been in since then? It's been a long time, right? Now, we're not going to say every movie was great. There were some movies that really bombed. But still, it's just what he's been able to do. He's worked with Disney, did the Moana movie. That was very popular. He did singing in that movie. And it's like, then you see John Cena now. Well, before John Cena, you had Batista. Did we picture Batista being in 007? Right? He's been in some movies. He was in The Glass Onion. I mean, these are good movies. I mean, you don't have to make it to the end, to show success. What the actors you work with. He's had a nice run. And then you have John Cena now doing movies with great actors and actresses as well for all three of them. And in a way, you have to look at, you have to think about it. He didn't pave the way. He opened the doors for other guys that we didn't think could transition from wrestling to something different after when you're in your late 40s, mid 40s, late 40s, your body's not the same as it was before. It can't take the bumps the same way as before. You can't throw yourself outside the ring. You can't pick up, let's say the Big Show in your 40s. I mean, you must be like in tremendous ring shape and not stop, where your body just can do it and healthy. And that's when you start thinking, same thing with, with any other sport. Football players, what do they do? Basketball players, what do they do? Right? Depending on the personality, they may do commercials if they still, a popular name. If not, usually you see them in the broadcast booth or pregame or postgame, right? It's the same. Now with the wrestlers, it's different. Some of them do it, do the commentating. But the good thing is a lot of them are branching out to acting though. So, he has done a lot. And it is because of us. There's no doubting that. From the merchandising, from the t-shirts, the ones that I bought, the ones that you bought, your friends bought. The success that he's had has to do with a lot with this. I just hope that he doesn't get criticized to the point, well, you're main event in WrestleMania? Yes. Let him main event it. It's going to be the last one. You'll never see him again. This is it. Remember, there was a point that his schedule was so busy. Very busy. He was doing Black Adam. There was movies. He was doing Jungle Cruise. It was a whole bunch of stuff. Now he might have like a very small opening to do an appearance for like a week, for one night. And who knows how much he's going to get, again, he's going to pay himself. He's going to get paid. Props to the family. If anybody hasn't done, looked it up, look up that whole family. Look up how many wrestlers there are between WWE, independents. That is a family business. Props to them. We talk about the Usos, Solo, Nia Jax, Ava, The Rock's daughter. She's the GM in NXT. The Rock. Was the Head Shrinkers? This is the Wild Samoans. I'm thinking, wait, am I wrong? Maybe not the Head Shrinkers. I could be wrong. I don't know. The Tonga Kid. I remember him back in the day. Rocky Johnson. High Chief Peter Maivia. The Rock's grandfather. Rocky Johnson is The Rock's father. That's a big family. Oh wait, Yokozuna. This is like an homage to them, when you think about it. Full circle moment. You think about it. Cuz, not only we're going to have most likely Jay versus Jimmy, this is going to be a family affair at WrestleMania 40. This is a celebration of our family. Yeah, I'm doing Fast and Furious. Who cares? Who gives a shit? This is the real family right here. This is the one. And this is our celebration. We're just going to, there's no roof over here, but we're going to show the world, how this family has been doing this for years. And we're going to be face to face going against each other, but this is going to be a celebration like no other. And that's what it's going to be. And we have to embrace it. There's not much more to it. Don't worry, The Rock's not going to get the belt. It would make no sense. Now, the only question is when does Cody get it? And if Cody wins before WrestleMania, which would be great then, because then his story's finished, right? Now we can focus on the 1-on-1. I just don't know if Roman will have the belt by WrestleMania. We don't know that. That's the unpredictable part. We can draw on conclusions and say, well then if he's going to keep it for another year. Well, who cares? Let's not think about it. Enjoy the moment. You're talking about a match as big as this with a movie star now, with the experience of everything he's had and put everything onto this company back then to now being on the board, an owner, to performing with family, to main event. Oh, and let's say Roman doesn't have the belt. Guess what? He's still main eventing anyway. And that says a lot. You have to. This is the main event. This is night 2. This is the way it's going to end. Belt, no belt, whatever. For 15, 20 minutes, you're going to get a celebration happening right in front of you. And just enjoy it. And you know what? We'll see what happens to Cody. Cody's going to be just okay. He's going to be fine. It's like the actor in a movie. He didn't win. He's still the hero. He made it. He was just a supporting actor. That's it. He still wins. He's still getting paid. But again, this is the fun part about wrestling. We can talk about this for hours and hours and just give scenarios. I would just say, just be happy. I'm happy. I was like, oh, you know what? I might have to go to WrestleMania now. I just might have to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to figure something out. Now, just if it's at the top of the stadium, I'll be there, because the last WrestleMania I went to, like I said, I've only done 2 WrestleManias. Unfortunately, the WrestleMania 18, The Rock didn't main event. It was against Hulk Hogan, and that was spectacular. That was in Toronto, the Sky Dome, at that time. That was like, holy shit, I'm actually here. And my seats were actually really good. And I was like, I can't believe it. Oh, by the way, it was a ticket of 1, just in case. I had to figure a way to get in there. I don't care if my friends couldn't go, whatever. I mean, I had to drive up to Toronto, and it was a nice trip. Rock Hogan. That was the main event. I think it was Triple H against Chris Jericho. And that was pretty good. And again, you asked me about the event. What I remember? I remember The Rock against Hogan. That's what I remember. I think it was WrestleMania 29, MetLife. Ask me that question again. What do you remember? I remember The Rock against John Cena. Now, this was The Rock now, the movie star Rock, Second year now. He was a champion. He had just beaten CM Punk for the belt back in the Royal Rumble. So I remember that. I think that was when he was making Hercules, if I remember, or something. There was a movie he was making, and then he hurt himself in that match and still finished the match. Again, not easy to do. You tear a muscle. Goodness, you catch a cramp, I'm on the floor. You tear a muscle. I don't even know what that feels like, but to finish the match, wow. And then you have 40, 11 years later. Yeah, it's a go-to. You got to go to this. And if you don't go, enjoy it. I'm just hoping that the story, the reasons that he wants to fight Roman, aside from all the things that I said, just at least gravitate to the audience and to the viewers and say, you know what? And I'm happy this actually is going the way it is. I get it why it's being done. I understand it now. I'm giving the most input I can and scenarios I can think about, from the business standpoint. And by the way, if you go to the website, there's pre-orders for the shirt he wore tonight. Again, it's a business thing. He's going to outsell everyone now. It's a known thing. So it's like, you can't hate what's going on. You can't. You got to embrace it. And this is a good one, though, because this is for the fans. The Rock has a lot of fans, and there's many fans that prefer to see The Rock against Roman versus Cody Roman too. Again, Cody said, hey, I'm going to go after the belt. This is the belt I'm going to go after, after. It's just not at WrestleMania. That's it. Can't wait till Monday because, Monday we're going to see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is like the best time of the, they call it the Super Bowl, whatever. This is the World Cup. This is the World Cup now. Not everything is always a Super Bowl. There's bigger events at the Super Bowl. This is the World Cup. We have Australia. We have Japan. We have the U.S. Other countries, Canada. Name them. Mexico. There's a whole bunch of different countries, different personalities. We have Jamaica. This is the World Cup now. This is what it is. This is the biggest one. And they're going to do their best to make it. And of course, put interest in the company. Don't forget, UFC's involved too. It's TKO. They're all they're under the same umbrella now. Boost revenue. And this is a good way to do it. It makes sense to have this press conference in Vegas. That's the UFC, basically headquarters or whatever it is, I expect The Rock to be there, and I expect Roman to be there, or at least someone, Triple H, and they're going to announce something big. They wouldn't have it for no reason. You have to start to sell the event now. If you really want to make this the long game, then you announce it right now. It's already, this is more of a short game, but it is what it is. At least do it 2 months before. Almost 2 months before. Shout out to everybody out there. A lot of people may think that was meant to happen. For the Cody Rhodes fans out there, I know that's how we all feel. It's just right now, the match has to happen. There's no way out of it now. You have the owner, one of the owners, who's in the main event. Most likely night 2. It makes zero sense to do night 1. But hey, crazy things have happened. And for Cody, that walk out the ring, we all can translate that. It was not easy. But he already knew what was going on. Come on now. He is probably one of the best actors at them all equally. They're all good, but he is so good. And one of my other, before I end the show and just plug my sites and social media, best actor, what was it, 2023? Yes, 2023. Even 2022. No, 2022 was Sami Zayn. Maybe best supporting actor, I would say. Because, Roman is the main character, right? Because he's been the main character. Last year, hands down, not even close. Hands down was Jey Uso. Again, not going back to this whole family business thing. What that guy went through last year was an emotional roller coaster that I've never seen in this, pro wrestling, sports, entertainment industry. That guy went through it all. I thought you were my brother. I treated you like if you were my brother. To Sami Zayn. Then his brother, then losing the belt at WrestleMania. Then he got tired of Roman. Then he quit SmackDown. Then Cody says, hey, come to Raw. Cody's doing a lot for this family, if you think about it. And Roman doesn't even see this either. He's building a little army. And he just got the biggest one. He got, he ended up getting Godzilla now. He's like, oh, wait, you know what? Not only that, let's just say this. Not only did I bring your brother who quit, because you guys are idiots, to Raw, and we won championships and so on and so forth. I'm willing to give up my spot in WrestleMania to have the real one come around and let you know who's really in charge here. Cody, man, this year, this is going to be your year. I know it. You are going to be the best actor, supporting actor, whatever. Because this is going to be a crazy, crazy emotional year for you. The ups and downs, the victory at Royal Rumble, to that Monday with that Seth Rollins speech he gave you, letting you know, hey, you really want to go out after the best? You really want to go after the best? You go after me. You go after this belt. This belt means everything. And then to Roman, who says, that belt don't mean shit. What are you talking about? This guy can't even walk right now. You want to go after the best? Who's been champion for longer? Who's been running the show? As Cody even said, you said that this is your show, right? Like that's your cameraman. This is your ring. Yes, it is. Because he's been champion for so long. So you go after him. That's the right move. Tonight was so good. It was so exciting. I'm excited. Oh, now I have to save money for this freaking event. If anybody wants to sell tickets and listens to this show and want to sell that and want to sell them at retail because you don't want to go, and because you're upset that Cody is not main eventing, and if it's night 2, send me an offer on eBay and I'll take it. Or send me a link and saying, hey, here's my auction. You want to buy a ticket at retail? I'm all over it. You know, Instagram, it's EDAPT LLC, which is adapt. Instead of saying adapt, it's adapt but with an E. Notsocreative.org. I do eBay auctions as well. I hustle. I do grind. I do work full time. Do the podcast now. What else? I sneak a workout here and there. And I'm hoping to grow the channel more and more. You know, I hope to go live and add more things into it. And I greatly appreciate anybody who listens to it. I hope I entertain. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for family as well, for myself, because I was told that I had the ability to do a show and I had the personality, and I love sports and little things. There'll be some long shows. There'll be some short shows. I hope at some point to have guests on the show, which I think is like where I want to be at. I mean, it'd be amazing if one day I could do an interview with The Rock, with other wrestlers, whether it's Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or anybody in the industry. So, you know, anybody who listens out there, even the ladies too. I'm not forgetting about you. It's been a great week between Royal Rumble, which I thought, by the way, again, I'll repeat it 100 times. The ladies kicked ass. Ladies kicked ass that night. And I'm happy to see, again, Tiffany Stratton at Smackdown. Things are unfolding. Now you have Braun Breaker, you know, being pursued by SmackDown, and then on Raw, we'll see where he goes. Hopefully he fights Gunther for the IC belt, because if there's anybody that deserves it, it's him, since I believe he was the last guy that actually defeated Gunther. It would make a lot of sense, and there should be some history there. I would say, you know, I think I said in a prior show, but remember what happened. Let's just not treat this as if it's never happened. You know, Gunther is not the Gunther from NXT. He became better. Look who he's beat. You know, who has Braun beat so far? You know, he's beaten everybody from NXT, and he's an amazing athlete. But can you beat me now? Can you beat this version now? Because, you know, look at who I faced. You haven't faced Sheamus. You haven't faced Drew McIntyre. So there could be a nice buildup in that just based off history and who deserves it. I mean, he was only the longest reigning NXT champion, I think, in a long time. Give him the shot. And if there's anybody that can beat him, it's definitely him. So, you know, in the next couple of weeks, these cards are coming together, and I'm happy about it, because I want it to be a build this year. I don't want it to be like, 2 weeks before, hey, we have this match now. No, let's build it up now. This is the time right after this. You know, the only thing you don't have to build up is the second match for the world title with Seth Rollins, or whatever happens in Elimination Chamber. And then for Rhea Ripley. You don't have to build it up, because then you still have those, but you could still start doing all the matches already. You know, do whether a semi-tag team tournament, whatever. You know, put those belts, you know, put a little meaning on those, you know, for the women's belts and so on and so forth. I want this WrestleMania to be like something different. I don't want to see like a 4-way tag team match. You know, if you can do something really cool and make a tournament, just do a tournament elimination style, whether they have to come back twice or whatever. Do that. You know, put some meaning into the belt where the best team really fights the best team. We don't need to have like one team pin one and then do the other. And I know I'm just keep on saying other things and kind of going off track, and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, going back. Website, again, Not So Creative Podcast. Covered WWE Smackdown tonight. Anybody who listens, I greatly appreciate it. Oh, that's right. YouTube. My YouTube channel is E-24G ! At some point, I'm going to figure out
Or I'm going to go with the name and maybe change it to something catchier. I just like that because that's just me. Twitter, Eric G2477. I'm on Apple. I'm on Apple now. YouTube, podcast upload on YouTube, Spotify, a whole bunch of different apps. So again, I'm grateful. I put a little work into it, and it's going. I will do some shows in Spanish as well for, friends and family overseas. Spanish is not that great, but I will do what I can. And I dedicate this show, and I always will dedicate the show for the ones that I love, the ones that I care, the ones that I hold, in my heart. Going from my mom, my cousins, my daughters, closest friends, queens, and so on and so forth. I dedicate this to you, to all of you. So, and for anybody who's listening, I'm going to throw you guys in there too. I appreciate everybody who listens. I know it's not easy, and hopefully my show is somewhat entertaining and give you a little input from how my process of thinking is, and, opinions and so on and so forth. And it's just, the whole point is to get the mind off of things. And I do variety stuff too. Like I've done different shows already on different things. Pass the word on it if you don't mind. I greatly appreciate it. Say, hey, this guy's making a pretty good show over here, And as time grows, hopefully, when I move into a bigger space, I'll be able to have a little studio. Could do a weekly show, have other people do other shows too. And I would greatly, appreciate it. I did upload a live video episode recently, one I did with my friend Rob. Again, YouTube E-24G. Subscribe, follow, and the other social networks. Greatly appreciate it. And again, closing thoughts is just enjoy the ride at this point. This is entertainment. We're here to be entertained and get our minds off. And when you have someone as big as The Rock, you have to embrace it. It's the family. It's the family affair. This is long story. This is where the story really does end. This is the end of the story. The one thing that Cody said is, hey, what is the end? What is the story? How do I finish my story? Is it me taking your belt, or is it me taking everything from you? In a way, if you think about it, we already know what's going to happen. There's been rumors about it. The belt is one thing, but that's not everything. Everything is your family. He already got Jay, realizing and opening his eyes and saying, hey, shit, Jimmy's just there because he has no other choice, and he's benefiting from him. Solo's going to get sick of it. You have The Rock now, so it's like, wait a second. He helped us all. We can't go against him. You know what, Roman? You're on your own on this one. Like I said, that's the story. That's the exclamation point to the story. That's the icing on the cake. Is it came around full circle. And it ends with The Rock. Whether he wins or lose, that's not the point. It's that the story ends right there for the whole family, for the bloodline. This is basically the beginning of the end, and that's what it is. And for anybody who didn't see that, well, hopefully this little, opinion gives a little insight on how I saw it. This is the end, of them, all of them. Now it's a matter. It's like the Avengers versus Thanos. You got to choose sides now, And Roman is Thanos right now. But, Cody's Captain America is getting everybody suited up for this battle. All right, guys, I'll see ya. Thanks for listening.